Yeah, hello everybody. My name's Peter Barclay. I'm here with Grant Dixon, and many of you will know Grant as the creator of a movie called The Big Fat Lie. And what we're here to do today is to discuss just what health is like now and how we came this way. Grant, I know that you've had health issues in the past, but how would you consider your health to be right now?
Okay, well, thanks, Peter. Well, without being too proud, I think it's excellent. I've had my ups and downs in the last 10, 15 years, but at this moment, I'm still running park runs. I'm still biking, 10, 15 Ks a week. I'm still out there and quite active. At this very moment, I've got a cold, but apart from that, I'm doing great. So yeah, I feel very confident.
That's excellent. How would you have considered your health before you adopted a whole food plant-based diet? What was it like then?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question because at the time I didn't think it was any different from anybody else. I was noticeably more overweight when I changed my diet. I lost 10 Ks without even trying. But in actual fact, my health was quite poor. And the fact that I went to hospital in 2010 and ended up with four stents and pretty poor state, really. Only then did I realize that, something was wrong and I shouldn't have been in that state, but I was. Yeah. So no, it wasn't good.
I take it that you were warned about your health at that point, but what I would wonder is how have you found doctors' understanding of whole food plant-based nutrition, the whole food plant-based diet, and how you came around to it, perhaps?
Yeah. Don't get me started. The whole reason I helped form evidence-based eating was to get the message out there that we need to change our diet if we want to live past 60 or 50 or even 70. And the doctors then, and I'm sad to say today, still just don't understand that what you eat does basically form the basis of your health. And if you eat the right foods or you don't eat the wrong foods, more the point, it's actually more about eating the wrong foods. But if we don't eat the wrong foods, like the fat and the oils and those sorts of things, then there's no reason why we won't live to 100. And not only just live to 100, but actually be active and physical and, outside and doing things with your grandchildren and probably your great grandchildren as well. No reason why you shouldn't be there, even though your father or your mother died of a heart attack. You don't have to go that way. You can change your diet and have a long, healthy life. I firmly believe that.
What has been your heart journey, Grant? What actually happened to you?
Yeah, I know. Basically, 2010, I ended up in hospital with a bit of angina. I ended up with four stents, as I mentioned. And then I was told to do my diet a little bit and get on with life. But, my prognosis was basically, that I was going to have another heart attack probably within 2 or 3 years. And my stents would all clog up and I'll be back and then, be in and out and so on. But fortunately, I came across Dr. Cordwell Esselstyn's Radio New Zealand article a year later, literally exactly a year later. It was quite uncanny actually how it happened. And the next day I said, okay, I'm going to give this a go. And I changed my diet and I did. I found it easy. I didn't find it hard giving up the fat. And, I'm still on that diet. What is it? 13 years later now. Yeah, no, I've had a few hiccups along the way. I was out running one day and I fell over and hit my head and gave myself a cardiac arrest, apparently. Lost my memory for a week or two. Spent a month in hospital because I got an infection as well. And then ended up with an ICD in my chest here. That's a intermittent cardiac device, I think it's called. It's a restart machine so that if it happens again, if my heart stops, it'll kick me into action. And actually that happened once on a park run. I was out on a park run and I was doing really well and I was feeling very good about myself. And I got this buzzy feeling in my chest and I thought, oh, that's not so good, but it went away. So I carried on and it happened twice. The third time it gave me a wallop across my chest. And so I walked back to the start line and sort of told the people there and they entered it as an injury report, I suppose. And then I decided to ring up the hospital and see what they thought about it because I was feeling fine. Anyway, I spent 8 hours in the hospital waiting for a specialist to see me. And I finally saw him and I knew where this was going. So I signed myself out and went home. And that was 4 years ago and I'm fine. I'm fine. It was just one of those things that happened. My pulse got a bit high. I'm on beta blockers. That keeps my pulse low. And I hadn't taken my beta blocker that day, and that was why it happened. So I now religiously take them while I've got this thing in my chest. Yeah, so that's basically what happened 4 years ago. And as I say, I'm back out there now, running, walking, biking. Yeah, no, I'm doing good.
Grant, I'm just wondering if we can just recapture that early part where you mentioned, I think, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. Was that book, was it introduced to you by a medic, or how did you actually came across it?
I never knew anything about the subject until I heard that Radio New Zealand interview with Kim Hill. He came out here, I think, for a conference in Rotorua. It was a Seventh-day Adventist conference, I think it was. And he got an interview on the back of that. I ordered the book, still got the book, it's pretty worn out. I try to practice the book as best I can. I don't keep it as religiously as I did when I started, but I do adhere to pretty much all its principles. I like, not eating oil and avoiding fats and keeping well away from animal products and dairy products.
Is there anything that you don't like about the WFPB diet? I mean, raise that question at all?
I'm a bit different from a lot of people. I had no problem getting rid of the bacon and the eggs and the fatty foods. In fact, even if I'm in the room where it's cooking, I actually feel quite ill now. I've got to leave the room and sort of get fresh air. Yeah, maybe a bacon sandwich would be nice, but I don't know. I don't really miss it. So is there anything else I don't like about the diet? No, not really. Sorry. Yeah, that's all.
That's all right. We just, what I'm just thinking of here is that I know in a sense that we can, but when we've been into it for a time, because there's certain frustrations that come up. For instance, what about other people's attitude to the diet? How have you found that?
Yeah, that can be very frustrating. The protein question all the time. People who should know better, I got a close relation. You sort of said, oh yeah, but what about your protein? I mean, I've been on this diet for 11 years now, and he's heard all the stories. I mean, don't they listen? I mean, we don't need protein. We get it all from vegetables. We get as much as we need. That does get frustrating. And I guess they just get locked into the same way of thinking. Just won't let it go. Sad.
Yeah, I can identify with that. And also, just currently, as you may have known, there's been quite an upheaval at the Olympics where there's so much vegan food available. And of course, the meat industry is saying you need us because you need the protein. Surprised to say there's actually a few athletes have won gold who are doing this diet,
Yeah.
Wondering also is that if you could truly influence our country's medical institutions, what would you like to see them know and practice? I know it was important in your movie, but is it still just as live for you today?
It is. I'm still as passionate now as I was then. And that's, as I say, that was the main reason I helped form EBE, evidence-based eating. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think we just got to keep on picking away at it. Just keep on knocking on doors, keep on talking to people, going to universities, talking to professors, talking to MPs, talking to Ministry of Health personnel. Just keep on discussing it, even with your GPs. Just keep on bringing up the subject. It is your food, It's all about what you eat. Now we've got to just keep that message going, and it does frustrate me because the incumbents, the meat industry and the dairy industries, they are funding a lot of the research, and their interests are being looked after, and it's really hard to break through that. It's just the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, that as we move along, we really essentially discover that real health actually comes from plants. There's certain things that are not in those animal products, like fiber, for instance, and then there's the obfuscation around protein, as you've pointed out. Do you think this battle is different between down here in New Zealand, where our export products are so more limited, say, to other countries?
Yeah, that was a point that Kim Hill brought up when she interviewed Dr. Esselstyn back in 2010, I think it was. What about our dairy industry? What about our meat industry and the lamb industry? Aren't these in danger of falling back and failing? The answer is still the same today as it was back then. Yes, there is a danger there, and New Zealand needs to readjust. I think eventually will happen. Just like with the cigarette industry, it took, 20 years for the cigarette industry to lessen after people realized that it was causing cancer. It took a while, and there was a lot of pushback, and there's a lot of pushback now. But our meat industry and our dairy industry must get their head around the fact that their products are not helping the health of New Zealanders. Maybe if they got one meal a week or something like that, they'll get away with it. But really, we need to eat other foods. We really do. Yeah.
Before we look at the wider battle, Grant, the key thing really is that someone like yourself, what you did was you heard about this book, you heard this interview, you heard about this book and you read it, and then you said you grabbed it with both hands. Obviously, at that point, you were, well, could we say, is it a vulnerable state? You'd had a major medical event, were you ready to listen? You think that's important?
Well, it certainly was for me. I think it comes down to personality types too. The question is, if I'd known about this book before I went to hospital and got the 4 stents, would I have taken any notice? And I guess thinking back, maybe I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been motivated. But I was looking for something, way out of this. About I don't know, about 2008, 2006, a couple of years before I went to hospital with the medical emergency, my doctor actually did a test on me. I don't know what the test was, but he basically said I was a sitter for a heart attack. And he said that the test was showing that. So ever since then, I was thinking, well, okay, I might be a sitter for a heart attack. What can I do about it? And I asked him the question. Now, it was quite interesting, actually. I asked him the question, and he went away and I said, the question was, well, what can I do about it? And he said, well, I'm not really sure, but I'll look into it and I'll get back to you. And I thought that was the end of it. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, I got a phone call from my doctor. First time I ever got a phone call from my doctor. And he said, Grant, I've looked into it, yes, and I've studied the subject, and I've come to the conclusion there's nothing you can do.
That must have lifted your spirits.
Well, he qualified that by saying there's nothing you can do that you're not already doing, because he knew that my wife was, one of my reports, he said, I've got a very good wife. It's actually my documentary. And he said that because he considered my diet was great. Well, my diet wasn't great. It certainly wasn't good enough, but he thought it was, and he probably still thinks it is too. It's just really sad.
Part of it is that they don't have that grip on it, do they? They don't realise what a critical difference that actually eating plants makes to you.
Yeah, you're right. And just looking at him too, I met him a little while ago. He's overweight. He's moving slowly, probably got some arthritis by the looks of it. Don't they get it? I mean, he could be lean and athletic if he wanted to. I mean, they just don't get it. I'm just so disappointed, really am. Yeah.
Did you ever have any fear that this might not work? Or I suppose, if it didn't work, I guess you've got the pills to fall back on. Did you ever have any kind of feeling like that?
Yeah. Yes and no. I'm still on pills, by the way, because of this ICD. I've got to take pills. I've had blood pressure all my life, and I still got it. A lot of people, most people who go to plant-based, also lowers their blood pressure. So I'm one of the unfortunate ones who, I think it's because my heart got a bit too far advanced and I can't reverse parts of it now. But that's the way it is.
When you first started out, were you so convinced about the book? Or, did you have some sort of thinking, oh, gosh, I hope this works?
The good thing about going whole food plant-based is that the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. In other words, if you get the changes and you get the benefits, then that sort of says, well, it's working, so it must be true. So much of research these days, you just don't really know if it's true or not. I mean, at the moment, the Heart Foundation is saying that a heart patient like myself can eat, I think it was 5 eggs a week and be perfectly healthy. I mean, that's just insane. There's just no way, no science at all, no true science at all could back that up. And yet they're still saying it. So there's just so much mistruth out there. And it's coming from the established people who should know better. But I tried it out. As I say, I lost weight. I regained my fitness. And now for the last 14 years, I've been in good health, apart from that one hiccup that I've already talked about. So I firmly believe I'd be dead now if I hadn't changed my diet. I would have had a heart attack and died probably 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah, no, the proof is in the pudding. Yeah.
That's great, because the thing is too is that what it's enabled you to do in the in that time and feel confident about doing is that you're an active cyclist, and you still doing that at all?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
my wife and I, she's got an electric bike. I've got a muscle bike, as they call it. We did a 40K circumnavigation of the Auckland Harbour. We've done it several times now, going one way and then going back the other way. So it's great. It's a great workout, a great day's excitements, but we'll wait till the summer before we do it again. But no, yeah, we're still out there. We're doing it. Yeah.
Grant, that I think really takes up our time.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. So no, I'm happy about my change in health and my change in diet, and I thoroughly recommend anybody who's a heart patient, or not even a heart patient, anybody who wants to live to 100 in good health and active health, then you get rid of the dairy products, get rid of the meat products, and get rid of the oils, and you'll be way better for it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Catch you. Bye.